We're constantly hearing about risks, right? A 1 in a million chance of this, a 1 in a billion chance of that. But let's be honest, our brains aren't really built to tell the difference. But what if there was a way to actually feel those numbers? A way to build some real intuition for just how improbable something is? Okay, so let's start with a question. Which of these feels more likely to you? Just go with your gut. Winning the lottery or catching some nasty disease from a public drinking fountain? I mean, they both seem so incredibly remote, right? So how do we even begin to compare them? Well, the truth is, our intuition kind of short circuits. We tend to lump all these tiny chances into one big bucket labeled, probably not going to happen. The actual difference between a 1 in a million risk and a 1 in a billion risk, it just doesn't feel real to us. But that difference is absolutely massive. We just need a better tool to see it. And look, this isn't about being bad at math. Not at all. It's really a problem of perception. We're just missing the right mental tools to weigh these kinds of risks, and that has a huge impact on the decisions we make every day. Think about it. The news reports that there's a chance of some new scary danger. We see that headline, we feel that little jolt of anxiety, but we have no real sense of scale. Is this a risk I should actually change my life for, or is it just background noise I can safely ignore? Without that sense of scale, we can't make an informed choice. So what's the solution? Well, it's surprisingly simple, and it involves something most of us have in our pockets or lying around the house. We are going to recalibrate our intuition by thinking in coin tosses. Here's our new tool. It's called surprisal, and it's measured in bits. It's pretty simple. A 1-bit surprisal is just the chance of getting heads on a single coin toss. A 10-bit surprisal, that's the chance of getting 10 heads in a row. See what's happening? This directly connects a really abstract statistic to a physical experience you can actually go and try yourself. Getting 1 head happens all the time. 2 heads in a row? Sure, easy. But 10 heads in a row? I mean, go ahead, try it. You will very quickly get a physical feel for how unlikely that is. Now try to imagine 20 heads in a row. That's a 20-bit surprisal. All of a sudden, this abstract number has a tangible meaning. You can literally feel how improbable it is. So let's just anchor ourselves with a number, 24 bits. That's the improbability of flipping 24 heads in a row. It's kind of hard to even imagine, right? But this number, 24 bits, is going to be our new benchmark for something that is extremely unlikely. So that 24-bit surprisal, well, it turns out that's the rough probability for all those things from our opening question. Winning certain lotteries, catching that rare disease, even getting cancer from a cosmic ray in some places. They're all in the same ballpark. They're all about as likely as getting 24 heads in a row. And just like that, we can actually compare them on the same intuitive scale. Okay, so let's see how this neat little mental trick becomes a really powerful tool for making real-world decisions that sometimes have life or death stakes. So why is this so effective? Well, first, like we've seen, it's intuitive. It's grounded in a physical action we all understand. Second, it shrinks these enormous, mind-bending numbers down to a manageable size. 1 in 16 million just becomes 24 bits. And third, it makes the math way easier, letting you compare risks much more directly. Now for what I think is the most powerful example of this. Let's apply this way of thinking to one of the most important public health decisions in all of history, the smallpox vaccine. Of course there was a risk from the vaccine, but there was also a massive risk from the disease. So how on earth do you choose? Just look at these numbers. The risk of dying from the vaccine was about 1 in a million. That's a 20-bit surprisal. So would you bet your life on getting 20 heads in a row? No way. Now look at the disease itself. The risk of dying from smallpox was 1 in 3. That's a surprisal of just 1.6 bits, which is actually more likely than getting just 2 heads in a row. When you frame it that way, the decision becomes unbelievably clear. You're comparing the near impossibility of getting 20 heads in a row with the very real possibility of getting 2. Thinking in coin tosses just cuts right through all the fear and the statistical noise, and it reveals the most logical choice. So what if this wasn't just a tool for us as individuals? What if everyone, journalists, policymakers, the general public, started thinking this way? What would that even look like? I mean, we've all seen these headlines, right? They're totally designed to grab your attention, maybe even scare you a little bit. But they so often fail to give you the one thing you need to actually understand the risk you're facing: context. And that's really the problem, isn't it? It's spin, not information. It robs people of their ability to make their own informed judgments. Instead of empowering the audience, it just ends up creating anxiety. But you know what? There's a better way. Take food labels. That vague warning on the left, manufactured in a facility that also processes peanuts, is almost useless. It puts all the burden on you. But the label on the right, that's empowering. It gives you a number, a 22-bit risk. This lets you actually assess that risk and make a responsible choice for yourself and your family.
At the end of the day, this isn't just a mental model. It's kind of a philosophy. It's about creating a public that's more quantitatively literate, about nurturing that inner mathematician that we all have. It's about taking responsibility for our choices, whether we're consumers in a grocery store or voters in an election.
So I'll leave you with this thought. What would change if we all had this tool? If we could all truly feel the difference between, say, a 10-bit risk and a 30-bit risk? What personal choices might you reconsider? And what bigger societal conversations would start to sound completely different?